Now we will see how to create credentials in external directory vault. Here is the sample syntax for ODBC credential type. MQSI credentials -ext -vault directory, mention the directory location, create, as we are creating the credential, then credential type, here it's ODBC, and mention the credential name, then valid username and password, then provide the external vault key. We are working on the external directory vault. Here is the example. MQSI credentials, external directory vault, this is the directory, --create, then credential type ODBC, credential name, I am giving this name db2dsn1, this is the data source name, the username db2admin, and password db2admin, ext vault key, this is 11223344, whatever we configured for this external directory vault, you have to give this key here. Once we set up the credentials, we can verify these credentials using the MQSI CVP command. Here is the details, MQSI CVP, then external directory vault location, then provide the key for that, then mention the primary data source, that is this one, db2dsn1, then mention the username -u, then the password -p. It will give the successful output if the configuration is correct. Now let's see how to do this. Currently, this integration server STI server 2 is associated with external directory vault also and the internal vault. And also we created the credentials for the internal vault. Now let's delete this credentials from the internal server vault. Only we create the credential for the external directory vault. This is the location of the external vault directory. Under this we'll create the credentials. First we will delete this standalone work directory vault. Now I'll go to this command. There is a command here to delete the credential. MQSI credentials, provide the vault work directory, delete, then credential type is ODBC, credential name you have to mention this name what we created, then provide the vault key for the internal server vault. Now I'll run this command. I'm copying it again. Run this. Currently it's running, so it's not working. Here you can see the error. Unable to update or delete credential db2dsn of type ODBC owned by provider server vault, as credential of type ODBC are not dynamic. So we can't delete while it's running. Let's stop that. Here I'll end this. Refresh. Now it stopped. Now let's run the command again to delete the credentials. Delete action successful. It got deleted now. Let's check the folder now, credentials. You can see there is no credentials available now. Now let's create the credential for external directory vault. Here is the command to create that. MQSI credentials, external directory vault. This is the location you have to provide. This is the location. Then create credential type ODBC, name is this one, and username and password, and provide the external vault key to unlock this external directory vault. Now I'll run this command. I'm copying it again. Enter. Now you can see create action was successful for credential name db2 dsn1. Let's check the external vault directory. I'll go here and open the external directory vault. Here you can see the credentials. Open this. You can see db2 dsn1 got created. Now let's verify this it's created properly or not. I'll go to verification. Here mqsi cvp, then external vault directory, then provide the external directory vault location. External vault key is 11223344 and primary data source name, and also provide the username and password for this db2 admin -p db2 admin. Now let's check this. Now I'll open the command and run this. You can see the result is successful. Connected to data source db2 dsn1 as user db2 admin. These are the database details you can see. Let's run the message flow again. This time it uses the credentials from the external directory vault. Now let's go to toolkit and I'll start this server. Initializing deployed resources. Initialize the deployed resource ODBC app. It's already deployed here. It is listening on 7802 port. This is the HTTP URL /credentials. Now let's test this using Postman. I'll go to Postman and create the request HTTP local host 7802 port. Then this is the URI. Now run the request. You can see the result. When you hit this, it will call this flow. It receives the call here. You can see the suffix. Then it comes to this compute node. There it finds the data source db2 dsn1 and it fetches the credentials which is configured using the external directory vault. Here the credentials configured external directory vault, and this external directory vault is associated with this integration server. If you go to the work directory and open this configuration file, you can see this is associated with this external directory vault. This is the location. So it got the credentials. That credentials are db2 admin and the db2 admin username and password that it used to connect to database. Then in the database it finds the table companies table under db2 schema 1, that is here db2 schema 1 companies. Then it fetches the data. There is a select query here. Then it stores in the environment. From there we are constructing the proper JSON response. The same response is received here. In this lecture we have seen how to create the external directory vault credentials and how this credentials is used in the message flow to call the database.